we're all going to die. That's one way of looking at it. See, you could just face the fact. I think symbolically of that scene from the Star Trek episode, and Dr. McCoy, Bones, is that who said the quote to Captain Kirk? He said, Jim, Captain, I'm bad with quotes. He says, we're about to die. We're going to die. Look, all during our lifetime, ever since the Manhattan Project, when they first detonated the device, the atomic device, it was a hydrogen bomb, they developed neutron bombs, first they call it a nuclear bomb, then it was an atomic bomb, then it was, all these different variations on the same basic technology of splitting atoms that they shouldn't be doing in the first place. So this is when the demon really entered the planet. It's possible that in the ancient times they also had this going on. But the Manhattan Project was signed in by FDR. That is the only way that it would become legally possible. It then became priority, top secret, of the military. And this was the beginning of the military-industrial complex that Eisenhower warned about. Actually, he didn't warn much about it. Eisenhower was a part of it. He was a benefactor of it. He was a founder of it. How ironic. After Truman, after FDR. You look at the chronology of that. You had Hoover during the Depression. FDR took over. And then in the midst of that, as Hitler rose to power in Europe, the Third Reich became a reality. And there was that push to just dominate the world. The race began to develop a super undefeatable weapon. And this was to become the nuclear weapons arms race. And the Cold War and such. So I give you a little bit of history in a nutshell. Manhattan Project was top secret during the 1940s. I think it even was begun like in its earliest phase in the 1930s. But certainly when the war kicked in and when American troops were committed to mostly help with England, the British, as well as the French, 1940, 1941, the Manhattan Project started to gear up. So the first thing they needed to do was get all the elements out of the ground. They were hunting for the uranium to make that 238 plutonium and such. So then they went to several places. They had locations, I think it was Kentucky, Nevada, New Mexico. Why am I telling you all this, that we're about to die? Well, I have said before, in a spiritual vein, maybe mystical, maybe quite debatable and doubtful. Can we say that word? Can we face that? Can we admit that? That we doubt in reincarnation. But yet, if you are Buddhist, understand that reincarnation and having past lives was a reality even back then. Now, he supposedly lived about 600 years before Jesus Christ, so if you believe the historical timelines, that was about 2,600 years ago, 2,600 years. So he was saying back then that he meditated and started to remember things and become sure of his past. You know, the what was before his life in that body, past lives. So 2,600 years ago, you even have a guy who was saying that he remembered all these lifetimes previously. I guess there was more than a handful. There was dozens of them that he was sitting there meditating, remembering, and contemplating. So what is doubtful now, currently, is that I say that I was President Roosevelt that somehow I meditated. I'm not a spring chicken right now. So at some time in my past, I was younger. I was quite young then, and meditating and seeking answers to the meaning of life. What's my purpose? Why am I here? And I found this out, and at first it made me very uncomfortable. If you look at everything that I say about the government and politics, you would say that I'm an outsider. I want to be. I do not accept it. I don't like it. I despise them. How could a former president say this? So you got to realize that before I knew I was a former president, I had already developed my anti-government criticism. I'd become cynical of the whole system. But then when it dawned on me that I was formerly, in my previous life, the one right before this one, I was the president over the entire thing that became what it is now. So if I was the guy that signed in the Manhattan Project, you know that it makes me personally culpable and responsible for what's going on right now. And it also brings up a whole lot of forgiveness that needs to be done. And I needed to come to terms with this and forgive myself because of the enormous pressure. The complications that were going on then could make an entire encyclopedia of the challenges that face 20th century humanity. So I come back now, and as I'm growing and looking at this Fukushima thing and realizing that everything stems from the approval to develop nuclear death. I was going to say technology, but it's not a technology. It's just basically death. It's a nightmare. It's a hell on earth. It's a crying shame. It's not a day goes by that I don't feel the pain, the concern, the remorse. And if you think this has just been going on today since I made the video, then you're quite mistaken. This was going on before YouTube was created. I felt this way for decades. Not four decades. Almost 4 decades. Definitely 3 decades. And being that reincarnation is not accepted, it's not considered a science. It's not taught in the public schools. It's not in the popular culture yet. But which I say, again, it's strange. 2,600 years ago, Buddha, who everybody respects, who doesn't know about Buddha? And who doesn't realize that Buddha is all about enlightenment and awakening to the deeper truth about our doings here? We keep coming back until we get it right. Do you understand? We keep coming back until we get it right. So we are about to die. Maybe this video will stick in your head when you're dying. Maybe this video, maybe my voice, my message, my truth that I'm connecting with you, our truth that we live under, is going to help you in the transition. We're going to pay the price. We're about to die. Oh well, I've done it before. But wait a second. What am I at now? 9:21 on the counter. At 9:21, it suddenly struck me like, wow, I could have had a V8. Oh no, I hate that commercial. That's Campbell's. Ooh, GMO. Nasty food. GMOs. Corporate. Wow. I'm glad I didn't have a V8. I couldn't have a V8. No, the revelation is that we can survive. We can survive this. We can eat raw vegetables. We can juice them. Do you know how you juice things? I'll show you how you juice things. I'll show you. Oh, wait, where is this? No, that's cheese. Not very good cheese either. That's not a celery stick. Where's my... Anyhow, I don't have a prop. If you eat raw vegetables and you chew it, it's called mastication. It's before digestion. Mastication. And if you don't have teeth, there's other ways of doing it. You can get a machine. That's real stereotypical juicing. But we juice things just by chewing them. And that's the way we get the live enzymes. That's the living food. That's the only way to survive this. Helen Caldicott puts out a lot of information. She's some widely regarded doctor. I believe in probably 70 to 80% of what she says, and also about her attitude and facing the crisis overall. I don't agree with what she says about immunology at all and vaccinations at all. She's dead wrong about that. And she's also dead wrong by just immersing herself constantly. She never steps out of the role of physician. There's a danger in that, folks. I'm not coming to you as a physician. I'm also not coming to you as a president. I'm barely coming to you as a former reincarnated president. Barely. I'm coming to you as a human being on a universal level, basically everybody. I'm coming to you as everybody. I have a concern about my life. And I think that we have to simplify. Just eat things. Just have a positive attitude. Overcome all this fear, anxiety, apprehension. We are encountering radiation from this horrible thing that they've done since the Manhattan Project, circa 1940s, 1945, the dropping of the bomb. The first detonation was in New Mexico. Why do you think I'm in New Mexico? You think I'm just hanging around here randomly, by chance? This is where they detonated the bomb. I went there. Look up my video. What is it called? It was called Trinity. Do a search on my channel. You can see me right there. You can't fake that. I don't have $1 million editing studio. I actually went there. You can see the footage. Why would I do that? Oh, just so I can build up this rational argument. I can actually make, that's totally crazy. So why would I go and take over the White House again instead of just letting Obama have it? Or the next guy that's going to get in there, 2016, 2017, the next term. Unless Obama gives himself a third term. He can do that. They can sign an amendment. It'll be their decision. FDR had 4 terms. He died in his 4th term, and I'm going to tell you something right now. He was poisoned. I'm not too happy about that. It's not even well known. In fact, there was many, many years went by, it wasn't well known that he had multiple relationships, and that Eleanor Roosevelt was actually turning into a lesbian after she had 5 kids with him. 6 kids, one of them died in infancy. That's sad that there was a 3rd one that they had. Her 3rd birth. 3rd. Anyhow, we're talking about the problems of nuclear things here, nuclear madness, the Japanese. Ooh, I look like a Japanese shogun or something. Anyhow, it's horrible because millions of people. Helen Caldicott's statistic shows that since the Chernobyl accident, which is the only precedent that we really can compare to Fukushima, 1986, when Chernobyl occurred, they have tallied up excess of 1 million deaths attributable directly to Chernobyl. This is being covered up. The Russians don't want it to come out, but there is a journal that she cites. Look it up. Look it up under Russia, Moscow, medicine, science, Chernobyl, deaths, fatalities. So, this journal will come up, and you're basically talking about the empirical evidence that so many people lost their life. You can't shake a finger at that. You can't shake a stick at it, I mean. 1 million? Over 1 million? And it's still racking up. And what they say is that there's a delayed reaction. It takes 5 to 10 years to really see substantial results or substantial effects. In the first couple years, you don't see much because it's like a long-term disease that these particles cause. Now, how much of the science is true? I know that they say they can't even solve cancer. I'm aware of a cure for cancer. There's a lot of different methods that they've used that are true alternative methods. There's pot smoking alleviates the pain, the medical marijuana, but all these alternatives to chemo and radiation treatment. Are you kidding me? I've seen people die on that. My wife died on that. I mean, this is not I'm not kidding you here. I'm serious. So, alternatives are there for healing, also for prevention, but sometimes you just have to see it kind of break out. But cancer is not the end. See, we don't have to die. I started off by saying we're about to die. But that was to make you think of the possibility and think about the propaganda that's going out there, even from Helen Caldicott and from all the conspiracy theorists and everything, that we're going to die. Yeah, a lot of us are going to die, because if they do nothing about it, or if they just go to the hospitals, yes, we are about to die. Fact. You get a few years after posting this, putting this here, 2013, it's 2 years after 2011, after it happened. So you go to like 2016 or 2015, a lot of people are going to be dying. They're going to die because they're not going to do anything about it. But do they have to? Is there another choice? Yeah, you got to get on it. You have to get educated. You got to stop everything that you're doing so that you can survive. Do it now. Do it, the sooner the better. I'm going out to nature. I'm creating an alternative. I'm putting myself into the Garden of Eden so that I can thrive, so that I can prevent all these things. The youth are the most susceptible, and the old age. So if you're under 4 years old, or if you're over like 70, 75, or 80, if you're older than that, it all depends, though. It all depends. See, it's clear to say that infants are in danger, but to say about the aged, see, someone might have an aged kind of like condition with a low immune system and everything, even when they're 50. They could have it even when they're 40. So then a person could live until 80. They're already 80 years old, and they may be so healthy. They might be like, like a 30-year-old. So it's hard to say when the susceptibility is from the old age. So you could say from the ill, from the weak, instead of saying old age. It usually comes when you're older, but it can come any time. So those are the ones that are susceptible. Those two categories. And if you're in that, you don't really have a choice. You've got to take some steps right now. You've got to prevent this. Well, it's still your choice. You don't have to do anything. I give you your choice. You're free to agree or disagree. Make your comments here. And by the way, I see a lot of people writing into me, and some of them don't seem like they're subscribed. Can you check on that? Because I'm trying to get subscribers here. Maybe we can pass the information along to more people.